Welcome to Pianolin TV. My name is Alexander Bui, the host, joined by our co-host here, Jeremy Au. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm okay. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Today we have a wonderful episode today. It's called Overcoming Stage Fright. Now, as musicians hone their art, practicing days and hours in their practice room, eventually they got to perform in front of an audience. Now, practicing by yourself, it's pretty good. Nothing to be worried about. No one's watching you. You're only just listening to yourself. But what happens when you go out on stage? And why is the term stage fright come to you? Now, stage fright comes within human emotions, right? We're all human beings. We're not robots who, have no feelings. But I know for a fact, Jeremy here is actually one of those people that can overcome stage fright very easily. I've watched this guy perform, and he just gets a little nervous, and then he's just totally in the zone. Jeremy, could you tell us more about your experience with stage fright and how you overcome it, if you had any?
I used to get a lot of stage fright, or it's more like I used to get really nervous actually when I was younger, and I guess maybe then I didn't really understand. I think it was kind of a misunderstanding, and I guess like when you're young too, you expect a lot from yourself more than when you're older. I feel, and that nervousness when you perform, it comes from because you really want to do well. So I learned recently that the nervousness that you get when you perform, it's actually a good thing. And some people even say they perform it even better when they're nervous because they're more focused. And I guess and when I was younger, I used to get really nervous, and I found I didn't really enjoy the performance as much. But now, I guess uh, I guess it's just the way of thinking. You want to show what you have to the audience. You want the audience to how do you say enjoy what you play, and so the mentality of getting nervous is because you're doing it for yourself. And so I think it's just a different way of thinking, and I think that really changed. So recently, actually, I do get a little bit nervous at the beginning of the concert just to I guess it's just a different kind of feeling because you're in front of people. But then by the second piece or so, or if it's a long piece, then maybe first few minutes I'm nervous, but then I start to get used to it, and then it's just I can enjoy it much more.
Right. It's sort of like a psychological feeling. Sometimes people psych themselves out in front of an audience and they're thinking, oh, am I gonna play wrong notes today? Or I'm gonna forget. Those two are one of the most popular factors in what makes a performer nervous. You don't want to mess up in front of an audience, but how do you combat it? And we're gonna talk about like how we're gonna practice that. And for my own experience, it's pretty like you've got to do it more often, given the opportunities. I mean, you may be just playing as a hobby, or you're going to profession, college. You just got to get yourself out there a lot more. That's one of the best ways to practice. When you do something a lot more often, you'll get used to it, and it may take you a while for you to really overcome a stage fright. It takes time. You can't just do it in 1 week and expect, oh, I'm gonna be fine. um, since COVID-19 hit, a lot of professional musicians actually stopped playing in front of audiences. And when they come back on the stage, when things started opening up, they were feeling a lot more nervous than before because they weren't doing it. And they've played thousands and thousands of concerts in their life. And if you stop within 6 months or so and you come back to it, it's a different type of feeling. Jeremy, how do you practice stage overcoming the stage fright? It's a
Well, again,
similar way.
well, I don't think it's something you can actually practice. And no matter how much you prepare, how much you practice on your own, it doesn't do anything about the stage, right? I mean, maybe sometimes I feel when you're really well prepared, somewhere in your mind, you know that you're well prepared. And when you get out to play, you don't get nervous for some reason, because I think deep down somewhere it knows that you're ready, you know. And then sometimes when you're not as ready, somehow you get nervous. Even you're not, it's not something you can control, but your mind, it knows somewhere that it's not ready. And so I guess the what you can do is when you practice, you just make sure that you are ready from deep down, so that everything, so no matter how many times you do it, it can go wrong. And then, well, I think it's also a wrong. Some people get, especially young kids, they have a misunderstanding that they say, "Oh, I don't want to make any mistake," you know. And but the thing is, when you perform, it's not about not making mistake. It's not about making mistake. It's not like it's not like sport, you know. And even in sport, let's say if you play tennis, right? Even if you make a lot of mistake, you could still win the match, you know. And it's the same thing with the playing performing piece. If you make some mistake, if everything else is good, everything else is a higher level than a performance that didn't make any mistake but was very flat or something, it's a better performance. And so I think as you get older, you start to see that.
Yes, and those are all very good points. And what helps, prepare for that. And what we're going to get into right now is your lessons and your concert prep. Now, in your lessons, you have a teacher, or if you don't have a teacher, either you're self-teaching yourself. Um, the best way to practice, the best way, just play for someone, right? If you don't have someone, record yourself, because recording yourself is the best way, because it captures all your flaws and weaknesses. After you play, you record it, you look back, you listen to it. No, I don't sound good. No, I can improve there. And that's how you really improve upon that level. But the better way is to actually play for someone. You have someone in your room that's sharing the energy with you. And with that being said, you're going to get less and less nervous the more you play for that person, because you're getting comfortable with that person. Now, let's say you have, your rigorous college schedule. You have so many classes, and you're in a lack of sleep, and you're trying to cram your practicing, and you have a really strict teacher every week. That's great. You know why? Because that's going to build up your confidence. It's going to drive you to work even harder, work smarter. And that way, when you play for your teacher, you're more prepared and you feel more confident. And then, when you hit the stage, the effects of the stage fright lessens. Now, Jeremy said, he always came out and he always felt a little nervous, but then he calms down. And that's very normal. It's the adrenaline that drives within our body, the excitement and nervousness all combined. And you cannot control that. So it's very important that you don't disregard it. And, um, there's beta blockers, right? That just kills your mood. And usually when that happens, sure, you don't feel nervous, but your playing will be very dull because you don't have the excitement. Jeremy's mentioned before that, sometimes we play better in front of audiences when we feel nervous, because we have someone to play for, someone to share our music for. And that is the important aspect of playing music, not just for yourself, but to share the music for your audiences. Jeremy, how do you concert prep?
Well, I guess it's just actually my preparations, it doesn't change. Well, nowadays, since maybe I have more stuff to do in the schedule, I work more as the concert comes. But before, when I was just doing just violin, just the regular practice was the same. So even if it's close to concert, not close to concert, nothing really changed. It's just about just keeping the after getting all the what the technique and the whatever you need to do for the piece. After that, it's just cleaning up some spot and trying to also keep in shape. So when I need to perform, it's already ready. So, but as you said before, the beta blocker, there are a lot of professional people who use the beta blocker still, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing if you use it well. And maybe some people, just how they are, their stage fright is really bad. That maybe they shake, like their hands shake, or maybe they speed up too much. And I think for those people, it actually is good. But you just have to make sure that you don't get too dependent on it.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, for the people listening here, they might think it's controversial. For me, I don't take beta blockers. I don't know about you, but it is not recommended to practice overcoming stage fright. I think it's what we're trying to get at you. It's something not to be dependent on, and just use it for every concert. Because just like coffee, just like certain types of foods you eat, you keep doing it, your body's going to get used to it, and then eventually it will not work anymore. And that's not very good for your performance. And mentality is another thing. We started generalizing a little bit throughout our conversation in this podcast. Mentality is very important of keeping your mind focused, and there are so many aspects of it. um, Getting good sleep, not stressing yourself out before the concert. I mean, that's totally understandable, right? A lot of people, from my own experience, I see in colleges, they tend to over practice. It's like, yeah, 1 week ahead of your performance, and you suddenly just start practicing 8 to 10 hours a day when you used to just practice 3 or 4. Now, on some scale degree, that's pretty normal, but there's gonna be a way of like where you're just gonna overwork yourself. And when you overwork yourself up to the concert date, you may be a little bit tired, right? And then you may be stressing over every detail because you're just practicing too detailed in your in your practice room. But it's also a good thing sometimes. You just gotta have to find the perfect balance in your mentality of not overworking and over practicing, and good health. Keep yourself in good health, like sleeping and eating a balanced meal, everything that helps your body, like full of nutrition, because that's important. If you can't function well, your body is going to fight, and your mind's going to fight against you on the concert date, which will actually give in for the stage fright. What about you, Jeremy?
And then actually, maybe it depends on the person too. But when you're in the backstage before your performance, I mean, I guess at least 30 minutes before, you want to practice, you want to warm up to get your finger moving. But maybe it depends on the person's opinion. But I don't think it's good to play 30 minutes straight. before, no matter how much you're warming up. I think it's good to warm up and also do some other stuff, like maybe watch the YouTube or something.
You always you're YouTube.
Well, it doesn't have to be YouTube. You could play a game if you want. You could do anything, but you could look at the Instagram or something. But it's just something that I think some people they think too much about the concert, you know. And if you do something else, watch something else, look at something else, play game, then it relaxes your mind. And so of course, yeah, you have to warm up, but yeah, you warm up, maybe warm up 5 minutes, maybe do something else for 5 minutes, warm up again 5 minutes, do something else 5 minutes. And I think that's best. And also before the performance, maybe it's not something really that I do, but I think it's also good to work really, really, really hard until maybe 2 days before the performance. And then maybe last day you want to practice, but maybe take a little bit easy, you know. And because I think if you work too hard until the last day, you're really pushing, you know. And same with the bodybuilders when they prepare for the show, they train until maybe 3 days before the show, and then the 3 days before they don't train, so they get their body rested and they can recover. So I think it's the same thing with the music too.
Yeah, these are all great analogies, Jeremy. I've done sports myself, and all my coaches say, "Hey, don't go running like 6 miles the day before your race." This was for cross country, and obviously that sounds too easy to not do, right? So of course I'm going to rest before running my next meet. But for music, it's a little bit different because we're not. We don't feel like we're exerting ourselves as much because it's just um, practicing and just in the room. But actually it really does, it takes a toll on your body, and also takes a toll on your mind. And if your body and mind cannot recover the next day, you're in big trouble. um, so these are all great points to take into consideration, and to become you know that better musician that can overcome stage fright. And stage fright, it's a natural for everyone. Many people, many musicians are still to this day, even in professional world, um, get it, and it's unavoidable, and it just takes time. Everything takes time, and I believe that the more you practice, the more you prepare. And as Jeremy said, don't do it for so straight. Like, don't get so worked up on your practicing. And believe me, music is all about having fun and enjoyment. There's no reason to get so overworked for it, and then worry about your audiences or that recording machine. If you have so many things to worry about, your mind is going to go into hectic mode. Like a computer, right? If you're running an Intel i3 processor, and your computer is 10 years old, you're probably, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably more than 10 years old. But if not, you'll eventually understand what I'm talking about. You're going to overwork the computer if you open up so many tabs, or you're running so many videos or so many games, and your computer slows down, right? Just like that, we're the same thing. If we're multitasking, it's actually very hard to focus on so many different things. I know there may be some great multitaskers out there in the world, but personally, for many people, you cannot do like 10 things at once. You're talking to someone else on the phone, and you're typing, and then you're researching, watching a video. All those things, just as I'm saying, it's going to stress me out. It's the same thing when you're doing this. So all in a nutshell, we talked about practice methods, we talked about lesson and concert prep, and mentalities, all to help with overcoming stage fright. Now, this is the end of the episode. Thank you all for listening. This is Pianolin TV with your host, Alexander Bowie and co-host Jeremy Al. Thank you for all those who are listening. If you're listening on YouTube, watching, give us a like, subscribe, and following on our podcast platforms. Thank you to our listeners. I hope you get some very, very good insight from both Jeremy and I. And we look forward, to putting out new content every Tuesday. Don't miss it. Take care.